Hey all, here OS Reviews. So a few months ago, there was a company called Nanoleaf that produced very interesting mood lights, which are shaped like puzzle or tangram pieces, and they stick together onto the walls, creating a very dynamic and modern mood lighting environment for your room. But they're also very expensive, with the kit starting at $200 and $60 a pop for expansion packs that gives you additional pieces to stick on. But today we're taking a look at a smaller version of that by a startup company based in Shenzhen, China. It's called Chameleon Blocks. They're still magnetic, they stick onto each other using contact points, and they create very interesting shapes that you can rearrange, and they can also be stuck onto a wall using a mountable sticky pad. It's a lot smaller in terms of scale, however, which is why the cost is also lower. This main pack here, which includes the control module with a sensor and the battery compartment, sells for about $55, and then the expansion packs are less than $30 a pop. They are interactive in the sense that if you touch them, the lights can be changed. There are also dynamic patterns that you can set up. We have the blue version here. So this is a main control module, and again, everything is stuck on using magnets, and these various contact points on the sides is how everything is aligned. And the touch sensors on the side here are capacitive, so you can tap on them using your fingers. You can also change the various lighting modes. There's a sensor there that can be activated when it gets dark enough, it turns on automatically. Now on the back we also have a magnetic kind of adapter that sticks on for mounting onto a wall, and I can also remove this to have access to 3 AAA batteries for the power. This is one of the only concerns that I have, because I think something like this, which is very cool, you would want to stay on whenever it gets dark. So having a DC input would make a lot more sense than having batteries, which needs to be swapped out. So basically 6 of these lights are included right out of the box, and they are very easy to mold and form on various shapes. The magnets and contact points go all the way around each of these individual small triangles here. And they are made out of plastic, so they're pretty lightweight, but also reasonable in terms of construction. It just says Chameleon Blocks. There's a user manual, and for each of the individual accessory packs, this is what it looks like. The rims also comes in different colors if you want yellow or pink, if you don't want the blue edition. So this main control panel here is where the batteries are integrated. It also has a white light by itself. I can tap on the power key for a few seconds and it manually turns on. The light though isn't the brightest thing in the world. In fact, it really is an interactive kind of mood light when things are really dark. If I dim the lights completely, it becomes a bit more visible. Or if you are kind of playing with it with kids, it's more of a kind of a toy than something you can use in daytime. And we can now start stacking them onto the various edges, and it just attaches and creates a random assortment of colors. Sometimes if the pieces are in a certain geometrical shape, like a triangle, a larger one, or maybe a line, all the ones which are stacked together might have a subgroup pattern which is exclusive to that little group. So if I want to attach these, for instance, it has kind of a different array of patterns going on. Let's dim the lights even more, and that's where the lighting becomes most apparent in the darkness. It has a very interesting look. Reminds me a little bit of kind of stained glass. So it has both a throwback vibe to it in addition to a modern touch, just because of how cool this concept is. So I can rearrange these pieces freely depending on my preferences, creating various shapes, kind of like Legos or Tetris, depending on my creativity and what I choose to create. It takes about a split second, maybe half a second, for the lights to turn on after you connect them onto a main base, but afterwards they pop onto life. Accessing some of the other controls here, this one over here is actually going to toggle between the various modes. So I can tap on this once, and this will now allow the lights to be breathing or changing. So after a while they will shift into different colors. Let's try attaching this somewhere else. And you can see it's constantly going to shift very gently back and forth in the background, which is actually very attractive to look at. And touching it once again, it gets into a flashing mode where it oscillates between the main disk, which is white, and the lights on the outside, which are in color. So it changes the color of the outer lights as well each time, as you can see there, but it's randomized. So this is probably good for a demonstration, but it's not the most comfortable, I would say, on your eyes. And this is a blinking. All of them are blinking at the same time. And then tapping on it once again, it has a very fast mode where all the colors are rapidly shifting, aside from the main disk here, which doesn't have any other colors. So this is a kind of fun one. And then once more kind of stops it and only has the main disk turn on. Once more and everything is back on. So it is quite fun, and you have a number of different modes you can toggle around with. Something else that's interactive is the individual keys. If you apply a little bit of pressure onto each of these pieces, they actually change color whenever you tap on them once. So it can be fun for kids to kind of hit them and kind of play around with. The construction quality seems to be sound enough that it can withstand, use as well as rearranging consistently without really breaking down. The plastic is just using polycarbonate, so it's a throwback to the days of, when phones were made out of plastic, kind of the Nokia Lumia devices. So it's reasonably sturdy without being, made out of aluminum or more premium materials. And for reference or scale, here it is next to a full-size desk lamp. So again, this thing really isn't that big unless you buy a lot of these expansion packs. It's meant, I think, more as a small toy. If you have a smaller room, it would certainly work. But if you want something on a larger scale, then that's where this can be kind of costly because the pieces are so small that you keep on buying these expansion packs. That's where they're going to probably generate some money. It's also not nearly as bright as a full desk lamp. It really is a mood lamp slash toy first and foremost. So if we kind of turn this real lamp on, also made out of LEDs, you can tell how much brighter it is. But in the darkness, it's more than sufficient when it comes to remaining very visible and colorful and interesting as kind of a conversation starter. Magnetically speaking, the strongest structure that you can create that is something that you can hold and kind of move around freely would be something like this, but that's definitely not the most interesting shape in my opinion. So again, using batteries in the design is probably the only fault that I can really see. But if you're looking for a very interesting kind of lighting idea and you're willing to invest a little bit more than a typical LED or mood light, you can check out more details in the links down below. But thanks for watching this video here at OS Reviews. That's been the Chameleon Blocks, an interesting fusion between Lego-inspired LED lights and modular lighting blocks.